Yeah, so I graduated for bachelor in the Bezalel Academy of Art and Design. I always liked to draw and make posters and draw signs. I was always drawn to typography even before I knew how to describe it. Even how to call it. I was always like lettering at some point. But then I think I took it more seriously when I joined the academy, and I graduated 2011 already. So I think I'm like all about community design. So of course I started my junior design studio, which I was like the only designer. So I get a lot of experience working with clients, presenting to clients. But I was also doing I initiate and design a magazine with my friends back in Jerusalem. So from school and just friends I knew from Jerusalem, we did a small pocket magazine about street culture and art and design, and it was kind of like a crowdsourcing initiative. So I learned to get to know a lot of people. I learned to curate work without even knowing how to call it curation. I was the designer in the magazine, joined with a photographer, and just like a more like a marketing, PR, creative, like visionary person. Then I had a chance to design the social protests in 2011 logo back then in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, and was one of the leaders of the protests. So they got me to know a lot of people. So I'm guessing I'm like more like a people designer, in a way. Then I moved to Tel Aviv and I started my career before Wix. I worked in motion design studio, but I actually joined not as a main designer or art director. I was more producing, shooting days and managing other designers. So I did have a style. I did have like a style role, but it wasn't the main role. I think most of it was like make things happen, and I did some of the social media. So I get to know like a lot of different things. And then after a year, the two co-owners of the studio asked me to join as a co-owner. So I got to, have my own studio. And then after a year, we separated and I joined Wix. So that's 2015. And then at Wix, I started as a template designer and I did some marketing projects, design, and then I did some product design on other projects. And I moved to New York in 2018, and I'm here 3 years. So I joined the Wix Playground Academy team, and I'm doing the mentoring and initiating other activities.
That's so amazing. Just like to hear the entire journey in like the order just makes an amazing inspiration for everyone that's listening to this today. What about your life philosophy? What is something that you live by and you really consider really important for you?
Yeah. So as I said, I believe in people. I think that people are running things like cultures and cities. That they're not the buildings. They're not the experiences that we feel. It's actually built and done by people. The people that you meet, the people that you talk to. So I think that's my philosophy, and probably the most simple and most modest life that you're having. I think it's the better, because if you aim to like I want to be the best in everything, you need to aim there for sure. But if you try to say like I want to be number one in everything, it's probably going to be hard. So I'm thinking like a more simple lifestyle is better, but definitely be dedicated to what you do and practice it. And yeah, and I wrote to myself that I believe in doing more than more than speaking, because I'm not a great speaker, but I think I can inspire people by doing things. And if you set an example for someone, then they will get inspired by you and they'll probably act. That's going to be like a really good call to action. So I don't know if it's philosophy, but these are things that I believe in.
No, I totally agree. I feel like a modest life and something, in doing things is way more important than, just aiming for things and not being able to do them. What about your role at Wix? What do you feel is the most important thing for you as a lead designer, and how do you like the experience? And, how is it to work at Wix?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's fantastic. I kind of felt that I rebranded myself a couple of rounds. I think if I would do the same job over and over again, for in the past 6 years, I would probably won't survive it. But Wix is a great company to work, at, like, great culture. I felt that, everything about web design I learned in Wix, because before that I was more print designer, motion designer, a classic brand designer. So I think everything web I kind of learned on the platform and on the in the company with different roles. Yeah, I think specifically on this job, being a mentor and being a teacher, as you probably start to get to know it, you have to be a thinker. You have to think first, because the thing that you're saying are very important. They influence people, they inspire people, and you have to, like, initiate things, because things are not for granted. Like, things will not happen by themselves. You'll have to push to make it happen. So if you have an idea, it's great if it's on your mind, but if you're not gonna put it in writing or talk to someone about it, it's never gonna happen. So also I think Wix taught me to be also a team player, to work with others, to create something together, because I think there's power of doing something together. If you try to do everything by yourself, it's either too hard or you losing resources, because I need a video person, I need a, I don't know, art directing person, I need a, I don't know, a UX person. If you do it together as a team, you can actually make more significant achievements. What else? Um, yeah, I think bottom line is, like, have fun, have fun with it, because I think that if I would just do it without enjoying it, it will kind of, like, lose the meaning, lose the purpose. It will be, like, very gray. I'm trying to stay colorful, as you can see. So I don't know, like, I think definitely um, build yourself your path, try to aim to what you want to do and achieve that by, taking initiatives, and not wait for people to tell you what to do. Like, hey, can you do this for us? Because it's never good. It's never a good impression.
I totally agree. And I feel like it sounds like a really good work experience and work environment in general, which, is always really important. Yotam, I know that you've been into recruiting and looking for new people for the playground. So I wanted to know, what do you look for in a person that you're hiring? In the entire hiring process, what are the qualities that you look for in a person to be a good fit for the role?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because we see so many portfolios and so many people, and I have a very big debate, with myself, because I think it starts with talent, right? Because I mean, that's the external thing that you see. You look at the portfolio and you start to think, oh wow, okay, that's very impressive. I wonder if this person did it, or it was part of the group. I want to learn more. So I think the first impression with talent, that's something that is maybe, like, the good point about being a designer, but also, like, the hardest part. How do you stand out from the rest of rest of your class, the rest of your school, the rest of the designers your level? It's really hard. Luckily, there's so many different design roles and so many different things. So it's needed now. Like, the designer profession is really needed. So I think you all are in a good place. Um, so yeah. So, and I think the other part, the other half, it's personality. And I think that will only come through a really good interview. And it's hard. You cannot get the personality from a CV, for example, right? And then if hard you see that. But from a talk, you can really understand the person on the first few sentences. So I think an interesting story, and instant personality that, someone that you say to yourself after the interview, oh my God, I can trust them, or I see myself, I visualize myself working with them. That's a very good impression. So I think that's where you want to aim. It's hard. It's not something that, like, oh, okay, just do it. It's not just like this. I think you kind of like need to learn how to present yourself. You need to have probably, you need to like trust yourself and be, have confidence in what you do. I think that's really important. So it's not something that comes automatically. As I said, it's not for granted. It's something that you learn over the years. And I think it's okay to fail. It's okay to try and go to an interview and completely blow it out, and that's fine, because you learn from this experience. It's not the end of the world. So I'm looking for the of like talent and personality. I think these are two good aces. If you pass the door in your talent, and then you're impressive with the way you speak and the way you talk about your work and the way you're connected to it, the way you ask questions, you can ask back your interviewer things about, how does the day-to-day life looks like. That's very impressive. If you look uninterested, in the interview, that's not good. That it means that the recruiter is not impressed, and they'll probably skip. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
I think we all agree interviews are hard. And it's good to know the points and, important things that people at Wix think is important in an interview, in personality, in talent, in the work that we show in our portfolios. So Yotam, we'd like to know, what as a designer would you like to do for the design industry, not just as an employee of Wix, but someone who has been in the creative field for years now. What is something that you like to give back to the industry?
Oh, for sure. Many things, I think. So first of all, I think that I'm taking, the experience that I learned by myself and experienced by myself, and I'm teaching it. So I want to do more teaching. I think more teaching and more maybe different groups. I really enjoy to teach, the academy students like yourself and your peers and colleagues. I really enjoyed it. I think it gave me a lot of power. But in order to teach others, you also have to learn. So I think that, from, you asked me about the role, I think, and a big part I forgot to mention is also I'm coming from the product point of view of things. And I think, I know the product myself. I work on the product. I teach myself that, and I'm teaching others. So I think I have a good insight also of how to teach people, but also how to tell the company like, hey, this is something we need to do, report on things. I think that's really important, and that's a fun role, because you keep on learning and keep on like upgrading yourself with the product, but also you keep on teaching others. So that's what gives you the encouragement. So that's a very specific thing I have. It's like not. I'm guessing that the same thing will be with, I don't know, other companies like Figma or Sketch, that their designers are teaching others. They need to know the product the best. So yeah, I think I want to teach more audiences. Maybe join like, a community. I think I'm getting inspiration from communities like AIGA. I don't know, like Type Thursday. People who are really love what they do and share it with others. I think it's really important because they find the similarities. They find other people that supports them, and they support them. So I think everything about empowering other communities, that's definitely something I want to do, and just contribute my knowledge. I think that's pretty much it.
I think it's a lot. It's not just a bit. And thinking about inspiration, what is something that you'd like to give as a advice to someone who's an upcoming designer, and who's someone who's trying to get a role, a job at a place, or is just someone who's just graduated, is still a student, and would like to look up to you?
So where do I find inspiration?
More than inspiration, something that's an advice that you would like to give to young students or an upcoming designer.
So I think, the biggest cliche will be, do what you love. because I mean, this is what everybody aims to. But it's not as easy as it sounds. So I think don't worry about it at first. You know, like ask yourself, like, do I love it? And then the answer could have many different, you know, many different answers, many different like colors. You know, it could be, no, I totally hate what I'm doing, and then like, why am I doing that? And then yes, I'm starting to like what I'm doing. This will help you to be on the path. So it's really hard to start from the top. You know, you can't like just graduate from school and then start somewhere on top. Actually, I would recommend not to. You know, if you'll join like a high-tech company from the start, it would be really hard to experience like small teams work or independence work. So I would say start wherever you start. It's good because you're already doing it. I know a lot of graduates from my school, from my class specifically, didn't continue as designers. It's fine. Not everybody liking it, and it's a hard profession. So you can start with your toughest point. So start with something and roll into that. Also, like, never look at other people's job, you know, especially on their social media. That's a complete lie. You know, it's not exactly how their day-to-day work look like. It might be, you know, flashy and fancy and nice, and they're doing amazing things, but they might, you know, have a very gray life at the end, or work long hours and they don't post on that. So I think don't deceive yourself with other people job. Focus on yourself, what you want to do, because people like different things. So it doesn't mean that you like exactly what other people like to do. And try to achieve what makes you feel good. So always ask yourself, it makes me feel good, or do I love it? And even if the answer is sometimes no, I think it will focus you on what you can continue. Sometimes you don't know it, or sometimes you forget to ask yourself this, and just like automatically on an autopilot mode, and you continue doing it, and it's fine. You know, it means that you work with passion and you don't really ask yourself. But when you kind of start to ask yourself so many questions, maybe something is not working. You know, if you're looking for money, that's always like, you know, a hard thing. So you sometimes will have to bend your own, you know, rules to achieve that. Maybe you'll do something that you don't really fantasize to do, and just to get to the money, you know, get like work with a really important client, but maybe the type of work is not exactly what you imagine and fantasize about when you're a design student. But I think in time you learn how to balance it. You know, when time passes, you learn how to balance. And I think the biggest tip I would say, and we talked about it with like community, I think look for relationships, you know, because I think that what we have now is a relationship of like, you know, we talk with each other, we empower each other. So I think this is something that I would recommend other people to do. Take some, and the relationship grows when you do that. It's not something static. It's not something that, you know, oh, I'm on this network, you know, we're in the same Facebook group, WhatsApp group, Instagram group, and we'll speak once a year. No, you really actually have to activate and be active about things. And those relationships actually really good, because these people will remember you and will tell you, oh, yes, I trust this person. So if someone will reach out for me for a job, I'll refer to them. So this is like what it's called a professional relationship, actually. And people will remember you if you maintain a good relationship. I think I have a lot of like really good relationships in my career, and I always reach out to those people to like get an advice, to ask their opinion, to, you know, to get a feedback. So it's really good.